Welcome to the Junior Golf Podcast, a podcast dedicated to helping parents and juniors navigate through the journey of junior golf. From fitness to mental coaching, we cover it all on this podcast. Here's your host, Ro Thompson.
I'd like to welcome everybody to our Junior Golf Podcast. I'm your host, Ro Thompson. Man, we got a special guest on the podcast today, none other than John Cole from Fayetteville State University. How you doing, John?
Good. Thanks for having me, Ro. I appreciate you having me on.
Hey, good to have you on the podcast today, man. I got a lot of great questions lined up for you. But before we get into the golf and the coaching and everything, tell us a little bit about yourself personally.
Yeah, sure. So I'm from Fayetteville, born and raised. I'm 31 years old, and I'll be married for almost 2 years in May. So happily married. My wife Emery, met her in college, stuff like that. So a lot of things going on right now, man. It's kind of that point in life where things are transitioning.
Good. And where'd you go to college, Coach?
So I actually went to Fayetteville State for my freshman year, and then I transferred and played at Appalachian State.
Oh yeah. That's another good golf school in North Carolina.
Oh yeah, we did great. We had a good time. That was a great school for me, and we had a good solid team. We didn't excel in some areas, but we had a few good tournament wins. It was awesome.
Good. And what age did you start playing golf, Coach?
I started playing probably around 10 or 12, but I didn't really get into it until I was 8th grade, summer before high school.
Okay.
I played a lot of travel baseball and stuff like that. I played golf with my dad here and there, but I never really got into the competitive side. And coming into high school, I had to pick between baseball or golf, and I really liked the individual aspect that golf provided. You can make your own schedule as far as junior golf goes in the summer, because travel baseball, we were gone every weekend. You had to go where the team was going.
Yeah.
But junior golf, you pick your schedule, go where you want, play when you want, and there's nobody to blame if things go south but yourself. So I like that aspect of it.
That's true. That's true. And as you were growing up in golf, Coach, how did you feel like it was a tough sport, hard sport, easy? Did it come because you being a baseball player, the swing probably kind of came easy to you. How did you fare with in junior golf?
Junior, it came natural.
Okay.
Actually, growing up, I played baseball. I batted left-handed, and my dad taught me how to play golf right-handed, so it wouldn't mess up my baseball swings. A little bit different philosophy there. And golf clubs back then were a little easier to find in right-handed in clubs. But I was a late bloomer. I didn't have a whole lot of offers coming out of high school.
Okay.
Just kind of gradually got better as high school went through and got more tournament experience and things like that. But it definitely, the swing came natural, but it was more the course management, the mental aspect, short game, stuff like that was holding me back early.
Right. That's good. Now, how did you get into coaching golf?
So this came, like I said, I played at Fayetteville State, and then I played at Appalachian, got into professional golf, and then gave that a try for about 3 years.
Okay.
Realized it was very tough out there. It's a hard road.
Right.
And kind of like a lot of failed professional golfers, I started selling commercial insurance.
Gotcha.
So I did that for several years, and when I was doing that, I was still teaching lessons on the side. So I was still still in golf. I was still coaching, stuff like that. But one of my players, she was her mom had a connection at the community college here in Fayetteville.
Okay.
And she said they were going to start a men's and women's golf program.
Oh.
And they were looking for a coach, and so I put in my resume, got an interview, and got hired. So I started the programs at Fayetteville Tech, so men's and women's.
Oh wow.
So that was interesting. One, I was never in coaching other than helping some high school kids out, stuff like that, helping the head coach out there at high schools. But I jumped right into it as a head coach immediately. So I didn't really have a whole lot of experience other than my coach at Fayetteville State, my coach at Appalachian, some things like that. So got thrown into the fire pretty quick as a head coach, and it's also a brand new program. So it was that also let me design it how I wanted it to be done, the scheduling aspect and stuff like
Right.
that. So it was pretty cool. But that's how I got my start. It was kind of unorthodox to be going straight as a head coach, but
Yeah.
that was where I started.
And they still have the team at Fayetteville Tech?
I think they're trying to revamp it a little bit. I think
Okay.
I coached there for 3 years,
Okay.
and then my third year we went to the national championship
Wow.
for junior college. So we were successful immediately when I got there.
Okay.
And junior college golf was really tough because you keep kids for 2 years max.
Right.
So your
2
team
years.
is always your team is always transitioning every single year. So you've got to be ready. You got to recruit kids like crazy. You've got to bring in a ton of kids because they may be there for 1 year and then
Turn around.
a lot of turnover. Yep,
Yeah,
exactly.
2
So,
years. 2
but
years
we
is
were
not a lot of
successful.
time.
No, it's not. It's not. So we were very successful early. Went to the national championship, and then that's kind of how this job at Fayetteville State came about. Just successful, and then word spreads around, stuff like that. So
Good. And how long you been at Fayetteville State?
this is my 5th year at Fayetteville State. So yeah,
Good.
we've had some success already. Now Fayetteville State's a 26-time CIAA champion.
Wow.
They've under legendary coach Raymond McDougal, they won several of those championships. So we're just trying to, and he was my coach when I was here. So I'm just trying to follow in his footsteps. We had some really solid teams during COVID, but the CIAA canceled championships for both of those years that COVID was around. And one of those years we went to the national championship. So we did that by the automatic qualifiers just for regional ranking. So the CIAA they get an automatic bid if you win,
Right.
but also if your ranking is high enough, you can get in. So that's how we had to really set up a strong schedule and also play well, of course. So things fell right in line for us, and we had a great time there.
Yeah, that's great. I've been following your team, man. And you got some really good players on that team.
We do. We've got some studs, and we're reloading for next year too. We're getting ready, man. It's going to be it's exciting to what we have going on here at Fayetteville State.
That's good. That's good. So let me ask you this: as a coach, how do you help your players get better as a coach?
Sure. So we, as a coach, I work with the swing, and that's something I can do. But when we're trying to recruit players that are already successful, and then bring them in and make them better. We don't spend a ton of days on the range. We play a ton, do a lot of different drills, competitive formats, things like that. Our big thing is course management, mental game, wedge work, and then short games. Yep. So we're starting to work with a system called Decade Golf, which I know you're familiar with.
Yes.
I think that's going to be a big game changer for us as well.
Okay.
So we're just not trying to reinvent the wheel on how these guys play. They already play well if we're recruiting correctly. We're just trying to make them better with what they already have.
That's good. Yeah, I had Scott Fawcett on my podcast probably about a year ago, and he was probably that podcast was probably that lasted for about an hour.
Yeah, I believe it. It's a lot of information. I've talked to him and Chris Zambri a ton, and they've been super helpful trying to get started and stuff like that. But it's going to be it's an eye opener. We've only been, I don't even think all my guys have their first 5 rounds logged yet. But just the videos they have, the drills and things like that have already changed the way we do things.
You know, it's amazing, Coach, because if you can get the younger kids really dialed into the videos and understanding Decade and taking the time, before they get to college.
Oh yeah.
It can be a game changer. It could turn. I mean, if you got a kid that struggles with maybe shooting 75, it may be the difference in them shooting 68 and 75.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're trying to save. Like I said, Decade. It's not going to be a 10-shot swing or anything like that. But we may save 1 or 2 shots per person.
Yes.
But when you got 4 counting scores, you got 3 different rounds. I mean, it starts stacking up a ton.
Ooh, it adds up tremendously.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. So as a coach, what type of tournaments do you recommend? And we'll talk a little bit about this on the college golf night. But what types of tournaments do you recommend junior parents put their kids in to get noticed by college coaches?
Sure. As a North Carolina school,
Yeah.
we heavily recruit CGA tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
And the CGA rankings are super easy to follow. They're
Yeah.
very easy to pick up on. I can see where a kid's from, shoot them an email, find their schedule, go watch them play some tournaments. So I definitely recommend playing Carolina's Golf Association events. Obviously, AJGA is great too, but if you're looking to go to a school that's in North or South Carolina or somewhere in this area,
Yeah.
I would definitely recommend CGA. Just high school tournaments are not enough. It can help me play well in state tournament, regional
Yeah.
tournament, stuff like that. That's
Yeah.
good, but to go compete in CGA tournaments against the best players in the North and South Carolina area, that's where you're going to get picked up, at least by colleges in our area.
There you
Now,
go.
now schools in Virginia and Maryland, Georgia, they may not be looking that hard in this area, but I know we are.
That's good. That's good. And coach, let's touch on recruiting a little bit. Do you recommend some of the juniors to do unofficial visits, official visits? What types of things do you recommend? Do you recommend they email the coaches to get kind of put on notice? What are some of the things you recommend? Let's say top two or three things to recommend for junior players to get noticed.
Yeah, the big thing is communication, and like you said, with emails, that's very big. I definitely recommend go ahead and getting a golf resume put together. Now that's one that's done very professional. Don't take it lightly. Do it correctly.
Okay.
And I'd go ahead and have that set up freshman year, sophomore year, and start sending that out to coaches. I mean, even places that you may not think you would have that much interest in, but if it's somewhere you think you could see yourself playing, send a coach that email and have that playing resume in there. Have references, swing videos, scores that are trackable, so you can see progress. So if you start it when you're a freshman or sophomore, by the time you're a junior or so, because that summer, your junior year is very important recruiting wise.
Right.
But definitely by then you'll have trackable progress, and a coach can see that and see if you're trending in the right direction and stuff like that. And be persistent. If you play 2 or 3 tournaments and you hadn't heard from the coach, well, you play well in a couple, send them another email, let them know how you're doing. And also, for me, personalize that email too. Once you put that resume together, you're filling out the email to send to the coach. Maybe do a little bit of research on the team, the coach itself, anything you can do to personalize that email. That way the coach knows you're taking an extra step, that you're that much more interested or willing to do that much more work than somebody else. We had a young man that we just signed, and I don't know if I just forgot about it or what, but he was very persistent on emailing me.
Good.
He emailed me, and I just looked over it the first time, and then the second time I caught it, and then we started talking, and now he's signed to a golf scholarship to come play for us next year. So be persistent, because coaches, we get recruiting emails all the time. They come in 20, 30 a day. So you've got to make yourself stand out.
Gotcha. All right. Make sure it's like an attention getter.
Right. Yeah.
Gotcha.
100%.
Gotcha. So scholarships, coach. So I know most schools only do 4.5 scholarships.
I think it's 4.5 or 5.5, somewhere in there.
5.5, 4.5, somewhere in there. And so as far as let's say academics, would you strongly recommend that the junior players keep up with their academics so that way they can get maybe a hybrid scholarship, maybe a little bit of golf, a little bit of academics? What's your thoughts on the scholarship standpoint?
Yeah, scholarships. I mean, HBCUs are just we're not we may not have as much money as somebody else, but we are fortunate enough to be an NC Promise institution, so our tuition is quite a bit cheaper than other schools in North Carolina, so that does help out. But academics, definitely keep that up. We had I think we had like a 3.3 team GPA last semester, so obviously academics are very important to us. And it'll help you stand out too. If you've got a 72 or 73 stroke average and a 4.0 GPA, and then I've got a kid same stroke average with a 2.8 GPA, obviously we may be looking at that other kid a little bit more. So that's one aspect of it, just ahead of scholarships. But yes, so every time we recruit kids, I also, once they commit to us or sign their letter of intent and get accepted, I send them the link to the general scholarship application to go ahead and fill that out. And now at Fayetteville State, that one application will apply you to every scholarship at the school. So
Wow.
It's super easy, and I send that to
Yeah.
all our kids. Now we have kids that have gotten it. It's helped them out, so they'll get a little bit athletic and then supplemental on the academics. So yeah, I would definitely keep your academics up. That's a huge deal for us. Obviously, you're a student athlete, so the student comes first.
Good. Again, yeah, we got John Cole from Fayetteville State University. Coach, what's been some of your highlights? What were some of your highlights from 2022?
2022, our big highlight was winning the HBCU Invitational at Chateau Alon in Atlanta.
Ooh, I heard that's a tough course, Coach.
It's not easy. It's a lot of tight tee shots. You've got to kind of work your way around the golf course a little bit. And again, that's where the course management side of things come in. So I think the tees we played, it was only 6,800 yards, but you're not hitting driver off of every tee and things like that. So you've got to be, we want to play aggressive, but we want to play aggressive to our spots. We don't want to make a lot of stupid mistakes off the tee, things like that. But yeah, it's tough course management wise, but I think we did a good job of navigating that. We had a freshman shoot 2 bogey free 67s.
What's his name again, Coach? I was following him.
Yeah, Caden Hodges. He's a stud, man. He's a player.
Yes.
We're bringing another Midway high school kid next year too.
We got to talk about Caden now.
Yeah,
Caden got good in a short period of time. Is that right?
He did, man. He's almost. I see a lot of myself in him because he's again a late bloomer. He kind of played some other sports.
Yeah.
And then golf he's really caught fire here in the last year or so.
Exactly. Tell Caden we're following him. We most of the junior dads we see when a player is just okay, well, he's shooting in the high 60s. He's going under par. Okay,
right.
What did he do in high school? And so when you go back and look at his high school scores, they wasn't quite what they are right now.
Yeah, it's dedication and work ethic. I mean,
that's good.
You'll be hard pressed to find a kid that works harder than he does.
Caden, okay.
Yeah, he works hard on the golf course. We work out 3 days a week. I mean, he's going hard in the gym. He's a strong student. So all aspects of the student athlete, he's doing really well.
That's good. That's good. And so, Coach, when you look at college golf, all right, what do you see that needs to be improved a little bit when you look at the landscape of college golf?
Right. So my big thing is exposure. Okay. And I think it's getting better. You've got a lot of these D1 tournaments that are popping up on Golf Channel, which I think is really cool because college golf is very interesting. There's a lot of good teams, and the rosters are so small that golf trickles down a lot farther into the divisions than I think a lot of other sports do.
Right.
And you've got the PGA Works Collegiate Championship that Scooter Clark puts on, and that's televised. And I think that's something that's been great, especially for minority golf.
Right.
But exposure is a big thing for me, and I think it's getting better, but it still's got a little bit of ways to go. And the next thing is I think we have 21 days of competition we're allowed to have in a season. And I think we're trying to push to 25 or 26.
Okay.
We just play so many 36-hole one-day events. And so we're there when the sun comes up and we leave when the sun comes down. I mean, it's a 12, 13-hour day. I mean, it's hard. And then you also have to drive home. I mean, it's a long day. It's very stressful on the coaches and the players. So I think they're trying to change that a little bit too.
So what you're saying, Coach, is it'll be a lot better if it was over 2 or 3 days and you could play 18, 18, and 18.
Correct. Yeah. Because right now, most of our tournaments, we play a practice round on Sunday.
Right. On Sunday.
We play 36 on Monday and then 18 on Tuesday. So you spend a lot of hours at the golf course. And I know they're going to miss another day of school if we go to 3 days competitive. But a lot of our kids, their classes are already online and they manage it very well. So as long as the student manages the classes, I don't think it'll be an issue as far as missing class time. It's more of a safety issue for me. I mean, you're out there 13, 14 hours on those 36-hole days because it's a 5.5-hour round. You're there an hour early. You got to get breakfast and do all that stuff. So it's an extremely long day. For sure.
Grueling. And you know what? And you know what else, too, Coach? It can be strenuous on the scores as well. Especially you're talking about playing 36 holes in one day, carrying 20, 30 pounds.
Yep.
8 to 10 miles.
Oh yeah.
I mean, and it's 20 miles. when you do 36 holes. You see?
Right. Yeah. Oh yeah. And it's mentally fatiguing as well too. So it's tough. I mean, I had to do it when I played college golf.
Yeah.
I get it, but I think the landscape could change a little bit.
Well, good. Well, Coach, give us a sneak peek in 2023. What are you looking forward to this year?
So we're ready to get fired up and start playing tournaments for sure. That's our first goal. But
yeah,
we have a really competitive team. I think we can take it all the way and be back at the national championship again in Ohio this year.
Right.
So we're looking forward to that first and foremost.
Right.
And we've also had a really good year recruiting, getting ready for 2023, 2024. But yeah, we're definitely looking kind of narrow-sighted into what's going on this season first.
There you go. Yeah, looking, team is coming together, looking good. And if you had to leave some parting shots, Coach, to junior parents, college golfers, what's the one thing that you have stood by for a number of years? What are some recommendations that you have?
Sure. Yeah, it's just communicate well with these coaches when you're emailing and stuff like that. Make sure you're making a personalized note to your coach.
Okay.
Because again, these are guys that you want to play for one day. So you've got to kind of sell yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing I did when I was coming out of high school and then also transferring to Appalachian. You have to take your time and really make these messages to coaches personable, and have a message and let them know why you'd be a good fit for their team. That's kind of the first thing. And then again, just communicate well. I get a lot of kids now that we text a lot and stuff like that. And a lot of kids, they don't text you back immediately or within that day or so. And it's kind of frustrating. So just send something back.
Right.
Communicate well. Just communicate. That shows effort and intent. So
that's good. So, all right, Coach. And so how can our listeners reach you, follow you, maybe by email, social media? How can the players and parents get in touch with you?
So my Twitter account is run_JMC 8697. I think my Instagram is for the team is FSU_Broncos Golf.
Okay.
And then my personal Instagram is run_JMC 910.
Okay. Good. Well, Coach, listen, it's been a pleasure to have you on. I can't wait to get you on college golf night.
Yes, sir.
Again, we got about 60 parents and juniors registered, and we're gonna be able to max out at least 100. On February 23rd, 7:00, and we're definitely looking forward to having you back on. Okay.
Yes, sir. It's going to be a great night.
All right. Thank you, Coach. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Thanks, Ro.
Thank you for listening to the Junior Golf Podcast. You can follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. We hope you enjoyed this new episode, and if you did, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Please share this episode with others who may be interested in this topic. Also, feel free to let us know what topics you'd like to see covered in future episodes. Get in touch in the comments or on any of our social media networks. See you next week for a new episode